Beep, beep.
Car problems, huh?
Beep, beep. Yeah, half asleep. I dropped the radiator cap down into the engine bay. It's like crap.
Ooh.
Rolling around in the gravel at home. I just stuffed a rag in and drove to work anyway.
See.
I'll have to fix that before we make a whole bunch of deliveries today, I think.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay, I got something for you.
From the shop floor to the gippity, it's parts department. Gems down under, Justin's up top. Talking big tools, big brains non-stop. CNC AI, how to make it pay. If you're building something, better press play. No suits, no fluff, just business, just parts department.
That's enough. That's 3 minutes long.
They're so generous with their minutes these days, the old generators.
No, I would have taken half a minute, but it like wouldn't do that. So that's what you get.
Thanks. Oh, morning pick me up.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Other
good.
than we were both had problems.
Yeah, no, pretty good. Good week. Good week. Finally a good week. 2025. So.
I know. That's amazing. Good.
Yeah.
Lots of good things happened, it seemed like.
Yeah. It's been solid Shopify activities as a result of my price rise incentive, I think. Pretty much for the most part. And still rolling out price rises because it took me way longer than I thought it would to pick through. It's like our old term Shopify variant hell. It's back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I saw your screenshot. That was crazy.
The Airtable one.
You need like an AI for that or something. Just go all through all those dang things.
Those damn variants. So just delete them all. So yeah, still working on that a week later, but oh well, it's all right. Some things have been
products
updated.
just slowly get updated.
Yeah.
Can you just bulk update? I mean, I know it matters, but can you just do 5% everywhere? Just call it good?
Yes, absolutely. I could have. Yeah, that would have been.
I've got a bulk pricer for you if you want that.
That would have been so much easier.
You can schedule it. You can have it revert. You can have it round.
I've been much too thorough, which is probably not a bad thing at the end of the day. But yeah, could have just done a 5% across the board. But there you go. Here we are.
Dumb, jeez. I'm joking. Joking.
It's too early in the morning for those jokes.
I'm sorry. Did I hurt your feelings already? We can't. There's just no more. We can't be critical anymore. It's just.
How's your week?
This podcast is too soft.
How are you?
Good. Our sales have done okay, but they have slowed from the fairly breakneck pace we were having before. So that's, I don't know, good, I suppose. I'm not gonna say I wouldn't want to continue that. So
No, absolutely. I'd be quite happy to continue at this pace too. It's good because it's all easy stuff to deliver.
Oh, yeah, right. It's not new things, and yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at like the tumbler. I unloaded the tumbler off the lathe yesterday, which was doing all the like abrasive finishing of all like our kit parts, bolts and caps. Probably, I don't know, I didn't count them, but there's probably like 200 parts or something in the tumbler, and I sort of unloaded and they all looked beautiful and crispy. And I was like, wow, there's like $2,000 worth of parts in that. And I haven't handled them individually at all. Like, they've come off the pencil sharpener, they've gone in the tumbler. Next, they're going to go in another tumbler to get finished. It's like, it's good.
Tumblers all the way down?
Tumblers. Yeah, more tumblers. I added another one this week.
Oh, what if they just cascaded? Like, you could just like tip it over and it would, like a gold sifting machine.
Yes, I like it. Just work their way from one to the next. Yeah, I built a new one to trial barrel finishing. Not sanding, but like actually applying the finish. Early days.
Mm-hmm.
I used an old motor of Laura's and I've already burnt it out. So I only got about a day of tumbling, but it seems promising. Like, we're onto a good thing. Just got to get the balance right. Nice. And the wax application right and stuff. But promising. Mm. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah. Seems positive all the way.
All the way down.
Money. You had a GeoCities order?
Yeah. 2 GeoCities orders in the end from the weekend sale. Got 2. So
like, it actually adds to cart and like functions and everything? Oh.
No, I haven't done add to cart yet. Okay. I had 2 people send through their PDF that it generates and say, can I order this, please? And I looked at it. I was like, shit. I've stuffed up the pricing. It's not counting the Dowels correctly. And it's live on the website.
Oh, no.
And both of those people were very understanding that it was experimental and in development. And they're like, cool. Yeah, I thought it was a bit cheap. Like, they were sort of half price, basically. Because it was, I think it was only
like, I'll take 12.
I think it was only counting.
I'm going to resell these.
The front row of Dowels, not the back row. And this is stuff that I'd fixed previously in the code, but in like the, tens of iterations through Cursor, I think certain details had kind of just been lost along the way. And I wasn't test verifying them, every code update. I'm not verifying every feature. And so I'd taken it live without doing due diligence and actually doing like full pricing review. Anyway, both of them were fine. They both converted into orders that I gave them a generous discount. And they both converted. So yeah, that was cool. Nice to see people using it.
Do you have any instinct whether they would have done the same in your original configurator? The fancy expensive one?
Don't know.
Let's just say no. Make you feel better.
Convenient. Perfect.
More profit. Checking a lot of boxes already.
Did you buy that robot that you showed me last week? My Fisher Price, my first robot.
Available. Dude, doesn't it? Did you look at it at all?
Yeah, a little bit.
Did you have a little glance?
I didn't watch any videos.
I stumbled into this thing called a DexArm. It's still for sale. It's $1,400 right now. It's got, just what's included is kind of crazy. I could probably resell it for a lot more. Is it a toy, you think? Just a toy?
Yeah, it's a toy.
I'm obviously not going to use it for like production things, but like my theory was I could learn with it and like help me understand, even if it's faulty and child targeted, I suppose. It's this robotic company name. I don't know what the company, I think it's called Rotrix DexArm, which is like a confusing play, like weird word closeness to not quite robotics, but it's got a slider on it. It's like a tracked movement, but it's on a base on top of the track, and you can swap out the end effectors. It also has like vision system, and the little programming system seems very simple. Obviously for STEM and kids, it's not going to be like a Finook to program, right? Like, it's very simple. And I just saw it and I was like, oh, me and my son need this, obviously. Like, he said it's baby's first robot, and I was like, yeah, me too, though. Like, how do I get included in that?
Yeah, like, I'm sure it'd be
I just thought they were really cool.
cool excuse to learn a lot. But why don't you just get a UR10 and learn real things? Haha.
Because it's no, I can't even do the math. This thing is $1,400 used.
I know.
It's supposed to be like maybe $2,200 if you bought it as is, not including the table that's also $1,000. So I don't know. Probably not doing it. Erin didn't seem too keen on it'd have to be a business expense to get a toy, I think, at this point. But she was like, yeah, we got daycare to pay for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Any of you have played with a DexArm, I'd love to hear about it.
Mm. Fun. Justin needs more toys. What are you doing? You sent me a video last night while I was sleeping of what appears to be a Rhino model of your shop.
Uh-huh.
Are you planning where the DexArm's going to service the mill?
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, maybe. Wouldn't it be? That'd make a great video. What if all of this was like, oh, he thinks he's going to do this with a child's toy, and I like figured out a way to automate like a 5-axis machine with a 1/10 price robot. Just put a little rain jacket on it. Okay, so Dylan and Chris on With Untolerance took some questions in the last episode, and one of them was, what do you think about a job shop that isn't investing in 5-axis machines at this point? Like, what do you think? I think maybe the full part of it was like, what do you think about in the next 5 years versus now or next year? Like, and both of them kind of unequivocally, well, that's my take on it, but they had, yeah, there'll be some shops that use manual machines. There'll be some shops that just use 3-axis. But if you're trying to like be progressive, keep up, compete, I think was one of the words they used, like you have to invest in this. Like, and every person I've ever heard that's talked about getting a 5-axis, Dylan included, was like, I don't know why we didn't do this sooner. And I can only hear that so many times, wanting to move forward myself without like a very strong need. I'm fully aware. So it's just becoming more of a research project to like, we have this decent mill, but like my questions are like, everybody that listens here knows my concerns, my frustrations. It took 2 hours to get one of our products set up a little bit different the other day when we first started running them again. I was like, this is ridiculous. There's just a lot of little problems, and I'm thinking like, what if we sell it? What if we get a different machine? Is it crazy to have just a 5-axis machine? And part of my interest is some form of automation. So whether that's like gimbal, it's like flippers, or they have this really cool, I don't know if you've seen this one. He's coming out with a new intra-machine pallet changer. It uses the side of the UMC's spindle to go over and pick up a pallet out of where the door normally is on the side and put it onto the vise.
Cool.
And then when it's done, obviously do all that again. There's just like, there's options now. And it feels crazy to just keep ignoring it. So whether it's a 2-year plan or a 1-year plan, like, just can't keep ignoring it and need to think about it seriously, I think.
Cool. Yeah, if you can make numbers work, absolutely. I think it makes sense. Like I buy into the competition conversation a bit of like, I've had the same thoughts when we were, pre-pencil sharpener, when we just had one 3-axis machine, and I was researching 5-axis machines. It was very much like, well, like everyone's got a 3-axis machine now. Like if we want to stay ahead in terms of what we're doing, we want to stay, in the top whatever percentage of CNC businesses in the country, then yeah, we need 5-axis. I suppose that's become less of a focus for me as we've found like our product focus that feels less about the technology and more about the product, but I still feel it. Like, yeah, I guess we've got our own very unique machine now, which protects our product range to some extent.
Sure. It
Which
did
maybe
it in a certain way.
ticks that box to some extent. But yeah, I get it. I get it. Particularly with your interest in automation.
Right. And I don't
Breaking
think
news.
that, I'll be clear, like we're not going to compete in job shop world. But the day that I listened to it then, Tarlons, I chatted with Dylan. I was like, you guys are, triggering me with like, I'm more convinced now after that conversation. And then I got a 5-axis part RFQ that day, like that same day. And I was like, just, everything's pointing here. Like, obviously, like, I'm not going to just throw down $250,000 on some silly whim, but like, I think of it as like you have your machine that cuts your dowels and your end caps and all those things. It's in some senses it's an automated tool, right? Like you step away, it can fill up a box.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that in any sense. So that's what I'm interested, whether it's a lathe that's automated, whether it's 5-axis machine, like something's got to give. And I think that is, especially the way things are going, I didn't put on the list, but we have basically an effective 45% increase in our imports from China as of last week, because it's not 35%, there's added costs on top of that. So it's at least 45% on the product alone. And, not going to get into that, but
Sure.
like all of the there's consequences to it regardless of how it happened. And I think the points have been made for a long time that an automated something is the way to compete with lower costs.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of it.
Yeah, I mean, the pencil sharpener's not the most stable autonomous machine by any means, but it is pretty fantastic. Yeah, it could be improved further. Putting those flyback diodes on it last year made a huge difference to its reliability. But
does that solve that?
Yeah. It's still got a few quirks, but it just cranks away now. Yeah, making parts. Just have to reload. If it had a bar loader, it could literally just run all day. But we're loading
DexArm.
We're loading 3-meter sticks of dowel into it, and off it goes. And depending on what part it's making, that could be a 15-minute cycle or a 2-hour cycle. So it depends. But it is pretty fantastic having that. Just it's a good feeling having those parts just crank away with low input.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a ton to talk about, I guess. I mean, if you're listening and you would like to suggest machines to look at, I am all ears and we'll talk all day with you about it.
All day.
I mean, I kind of went to IMTS for that reason, but I also was less convicted and less, it's just a research project right now, but yeah.
Do we get to talk about the elephant in the room today? I see you've written it down. Elephant. I see an elephant.
An orange elephant.
And I want to splash it with cash.
Yeah. So the software project I've been talking about for, months now. We started in August after I kind of had a breaking point, honestly. If I'm very transparent, I think I maybe talked about it here. I don't know what I said exactly, but I've been talking to Jem about it offline. A friend that's a software developer and I have spun up an app that will replace some of our needs at this point. I wouldn't call it an ERP, but when we release it, hopefully within the next month or two, it will be a way to manage your inventory and also your quoting. So you'll be able to integrate those two features, whereas, my problem statement for this is we spend a ton of time in taking an inquiry, looking at the parts, looking at what the customer wants, and then trying to convert that into a quote that's, useful, easy. And we've done that kind of bundling together Airtable and Quotient and Zapier and all these little things. But I've also had a ton of questions about that over the years through the podcast, through otherwise. Like, hey, I don't have this either. I would love to build something. And I think you and I have the same answer every time. It's like, I can show you what I have, but it's kind of a mess. And so I had actually talked to the friend is named Brady in 2019 about this. And we both kind of let it die. We'd started scheming and it just wasn't the right time for either of us. And so now I have, 6 years of experience on top of that of like what I hate, what I want. And so anyway, we have a thing called AirShop that you can sign up for the waitlist if you're interested. We're going to take some beta testers probably within, I want to say a month. The link in the show notes. But yeah, excited.
In a world where too many apps waste time and slow you down, one tool is cutting through the clutter. AirShop. Built for those who make, built to keep you moving. Coming this summer.
Very exciting.
Making that clear.
Very exciting. I've had some form of, not even beta, just like access. I can look at it and it's pretty cool. I really I can poke around in there and it's pretty exciting what you're building. I'm excited about it because I feel like it could replace, well, you tell me, but right now it feels like it could replace Airtable and Quotient for me. And I'm interested to understand why you don't call it an ERP. What's missing from it that means it's not an ERP?
So in the software parlance, which I've learned an enormous amount working with Brady on this, we're shooting for something where you call like an MVP, right? It's like the minimum viable product, which is just easy to reference, but also very jargony. That means we need to limit the scope. And honestly, the scope is already pretty big in terms of those two things. There's also a flavor of a CRM, kind of a customer relationship management tool here. So the way that my Airtable works is I have all these different bases and we get RFQs in from an embedded form, which we will have in AirShop too. So you'll embed a form on your website. You'll take files, what the customer wants, that comes into AirShop. You will then be able to convert it to a quote, basically from like a button. And that's not to say that it'll auto quote anything. We don't have any like algorithmic quoting at this point. It's on the roadmap, hopefully. But just taking that and turning it into a quote with the customer's information that they can review, and that being all web-based, and you'll be able to send those things via email, and then the customer will be able to review it and accept the quote, and then automatically be allowed to pay a deposit through Stripe, which is like also a huge roadblock for us. If I get hit by a bus and then I'm laid up, we don't make any more money on JobShop. It's just done because I have to send the invoices. That's a problem I've created, right? Why not just check a box that says allow customer to pay deposit or full amount? And so we already built those things in, and we're just kind of polishing how it all works. But trying to streamline the process of inquiry to getting paid for your work so that you can start on it. And from there, we will keep building out like project management.
Cool.
Got to see if people want it first.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I think it'd be good to get some testers in there when you're ready and have people play with it.
Yeah.
I'm
Soon, hopefully.
Certainly keen to fang around in there and have a go. But I love, you sent me some stuff. I can't believe you must have been up real late. You sent me a little
I've been staying up way too late lately.
tease of some label generation. I was like, what? It generates labels too? That got me pretty excited.
Yeah, we're currently building, but it's been on the plan the whole time for the initial release to have, I guess you'd call them Kanban cards, and then like labels for bins is the kind of like first two versions, and they'll likely be multiple sizes. So I was taking some interest polls of what's the size of labels you like to make, and hopefully we'll be able to like offer the most popular ones. So you'll be able to print a label to put on like your little storage bin of like screws or whatever that is. It's going to have QR codes and all that stuff auto-generated. And then a Kanban card that you'll stick, hopefully, right in that thing that's probably laminated. And then you'll take that Kanban card, go scan it with a QR code. Or we also have this cool thing we created called the AirShop code, but like a quick code. So it's like a human readable QR code in my mind, where it's 4 characters and it's auto created whenever you add an inventory item, such that X to C7 will, when you search in the app, will automatically pull up that item. So you don't have to like look for, I need that M6 socket head cap screw it's kind of short at the top. I think it's stainless, but I don't really remember. I think it's 30 mil long. Like there's all these weird details to remember. This happens all the time in our shop. Like Ricky will go, hey, we need those screws for the ATC pedestals. And I'm like, there's 4 types.
Yeah.
Which ones?
Which ones?
I just want a 4-digit code. Just tell me that code. And if I'm running across the shop, I can remember it, hopefully. So
yeah,
I just have like endless lists of things I want to build out for this. So
it's cool to see you with like an output. Like I feel like this ties into so many things that you and I have talked about, but like the kind of things that you've made videos about for years, or the things you do in your shop. It feels like this is just like the perfect sort of tangent for you to like put your attention into. It's awesome. It's cool to see.
It's so satisfying to, and I've shared a lot of these with you as we've spun them up, but you know, you come up with this like big game plan of how do we attack this project, and it's like all custom built, like app. It's not built on anything. Like Brady has built it all. He's a software developer by trade. Like, and so I just like message him one day, like, "God, man, I'd love to do this feature," which was the quick code idea. 10 minutes later, I got a Slack with a demo of how it works. And it's like,
sick.
This is amazing. This is so cool. Like, things I've thought about for years, I'm now like getting to like be able to do.
Having just mucked around with my like kit parts configurator and like going round and round in circles chasing. I know you've got Brady, who's proper, real software dev, but like
a real software person.
Like poking around through AirShop, like I just, you know, tried to add a supplier or something, add a source for components. I'm struck by like how many little things you're going to have to like make work and pull together.
Yeah.
And that feels,
that's why it's taken
that
since
feels
August.
Quite overwhelming, even to me. It must be a huge list of stuff.
Yeah. And that's, I am really good at continuing to add to the list. And so we've had this the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks? No, it was in January sometime. We had this discussion of like, we need to cut. We can't add all of these cool features. I literally come up with 2 to 4 ideas for this thing, just working, driving every day, and I just have to put them in a side. I put them in a side list, and I'm like, we can't think about these things right now. It's going to be great, and we'll keep adding to it. But yeah, you know, dashboards and auto responses. It's just endless like thoughts. And so right now we're finishing the features we're going to keep in for the launch, and then trying to clean up and polish. We'll continue to find a lot of bugs and things that don't work great with the people that want to do that with us early on. So definitely, if you're interested in this kind of thing, even if it's not like for the first exact phase we come out with it, definitely sign up and we'll keep you in the loop.
Just pictured you as the dog from Up. I was just like, oh, Brady, I've had another idea. Oh.
I literally, for a long time, I was doing that. I was like, he didn't say this, but I was like, oh, I need to put this somewhere else. I need my energy to go to like a job pad somewhere that's not distracting the person that makes all the things.
Very cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice. Good to chat about it here. Bring it out into the world a little bit.
Yeah, it's exciting to like get to that point. So the reason this is coming up is that I realized while editing my friend David's robot shop tour of Loupe, his company, there was this point, and it happened while I was recording it with him, where we're going through his inventory wall, which is super sexy, like all these bins, and he's like, yeah, I'm inspired to make some QR codes like you did in your shop. And I almost blurted out in the middle. I was like, I have something for you. And I was like, I don't know if I want to talk about it yet. But while I was editing, I messaged Brady and sent him that little clip. And I was like, isn't this the perfect spot to put in like a little tiny 20-second thing about how we have this app coming? Sign up for, if you're interested. So we did that.
Ah, cool.
And thus had to like get it all public And so we've got some signups from just that little 20-second clip inside of a 55-minute video that's a tour. So
Sick.
that video's live.
Yeah.
And so is the AirShop marketing page. But it was like a good kick in the pants of just like, yeah, this has got to go. There's got to be a time when this becomes public because we both can stay up all night working on this and nobody will know about it.
Awesome. I'll check out that video.
Sorry, I've talked a lot. What else is
No,
good
it's
with
exciting. Oh, look, I haven't. I'm still tinkering with my little toy code project of the configurator, making some little updates and stuff, fixing pricing errors. But yeah, on the week, whenever that was, Monday, when I was fixing those pricing errors and making a few other little minor changes, I just like had a moment of being blown away again by just like, I'm updating code just in natural language, and here I am. You know, I transcribe everything these days. I pretty much don't type anything except for correcting errors. And so I was at home of an evening just talking into my mic of like, no, this didn't work, and describing how I wanted it to be different and punching that into Cursor and watching it make the updates. And it's just like, it's pretty wild. Just seeing, the tech, where it's at. And I'm super keen to try, allegedly, O3 Mini is really good, and it's now available in Cursor. I haven't given that a go yet, but keen to see if I can make some progress with that.
I gotta be honest, I'm getting fairly confused at like how many models there are available and the naming structures for them. Like Mini to me references fast and not as capable, but yet maybe that's not true anymore.
I don't know anymore.
Like, I just, who is branding these things? They're just like absolute nonsense. 4-aught? Is that what we were calling 4.0? For what? I don't get it. Like, they have so much money. They can hire all of the branding companies in the world to make up like cool names for them, and they decide with like these random suffixes. I don't get it.
I know, that's weird.
But I have that same reaction, like, and I feel like I've maybe said that. I think I was going on and on about Cursor to my wife, to Ricky, to anybody that would listen, and it's interesting to see people jump into that too and be like, "Oh, yeah, I messaged you this week, and I was like, I realized listening back to the podcast last week, we can just make our own Shopify apps now."
Yes.
I did it. I even just did it to fix that knack problem with the orders. I created all these new orders via Python script on my computer through the API that I created. A developer, it's not really like account. It's just they let you do it as like a Shopify customer. It's just like built into your account.
Yes, explain the mechanics of this to me, because when you first mentioned it, I was like, oh, do you mean like published apps that people can buy? But you're talking about just sort of internal apps as well, right?
Yeah, it doesn't need. I'm sure that it has some auto review if you're doing something crazy, but I think they've just made it in such a way that if you're trying to do stuff to your own shop and you mess it up, that's your own, not your own problem. Like they're not going to help you try to solve all the problems with your own apps, right? Like but it's kind of off to the side. So like the main Shopify store should just work, and you choose when you're creating the type of app, whether it will be for the store or for private use. I think I'm oversimplifying that, but then you choose all of the different API nodes, checkboxes is what I saw them as. And Claude just took me through that entire thing. I don't think I was using Cursor at that point. It was like just really? Claude in SimTheory. And it was like, yeah, you need to check these boxes so it can read and write and do these things with draft orders. Name it this, we'll call it this, and here's the Python code for your local computer. Oh, you need to pip 3 down these packages so that you can do these things on your computer. It's just like every step, right? That Cursor would probably make that even simpler. That you can just make custom apps for your own store, like really easily.
when you brought that up, I immediately went and looked at my, like, the app section of my Shopify store. I was like, oh, what am I paying for that I could replace with
That's
Cursor
exactly what
of
I was
an evening?
thinking.
Yep.
Well, you're already doing that. Like, you could probably
I am.
turn your configurator into an app, right? Like, I don't know what benefits you get out of that.
I don't know.
Something, right? Like, maybe it becomes easier to integrate if you change the rest of the store. It doesn't get wiped away with like a theme update or something. You know?
Yeah,
I don't know. Ask Chris or ask
I will.
Senior Debris.
I'll check it out. I just asked the Shopify Sidekick baked in AI, and it just gave me a link to where I can enable custom app development on your store, and it says this cannot be undone. It's like, oh, okay. I won't click on that right now, but thank you.
Yeah, I try that thing every once in a while still, and I tried to get it to have it make me a draft order with 2 draft items, and it could not do it. It gave me a link to draft orders, and I said, you think I don't know how to get to draft orders? What are you here for?
Thanks, man. Oh, I'm just a sidekick.
It does amazing at analytics. Like, I asked it, what were our top 5 selling items in the last year? And that's probably a report, but it made me a custom report, and it was useful for that.
Okay. Cool.
So on that topic, I've had this weight over me of having basically a duplicative website. I still have not made much progress migrating my Squarespace to Shopify and finally finishing that. So I know it's probably a confusing experience for customers because we have like duplicate blog posts on both pages, both things. There's contact forms on both. There's, all this stuff. I'm just still paying for it monthly, which isn't like a crazy cost, but I've just struggled. Like, I cannot prioritize the time to do it. I probably need to like look at Upwork, but I wrote this week and I thought I just need to ask Jem or people listening, like, how the hell do I just finish this? Like, do I just need to block out 2 days for it? Or do I need to try to hire somebody? Like, what? It seems silly at this point that it's just internet debris.
What happens if you turn Squarespace off?
Still probably 60% of our traffic. And so I would cause a ton. Part of it's I need to make all these redirects
Dead links.
and forward the DNS and all this stuff. And it will kill a huge amount of traffic.
Yeah.
Which is bad. Part of why I haven't done anything rash.
Are you just paying double fees, basically? Is that?
Yeah. And it's a confusing experience for sure.
Yeah, sure.
Most people, when they search for us, they land on portlandcnc.com, which is Squarespace.
Mm-hmm.
Then they click almost always to the store. But if you search there, you're not going to find any of our products on Squarespace. So like, there's a good chance we're losing people that are just like, well, this site sucks. There's just all of my effort for years now has gone into Shopify, which it's always been intended to be the takeover. It's just, I don't know.
So yeah, Squarespace is basically just a landing page for you at this point. But there's a whole bunch of content on there as well.
100 some blog posts, which I have migrated, but there's still the problem, not to get too detailed, is like it's called hot linking, and I'm hot linking images still because I didn't get all the migrated right with this tool I use. So there's still Squarespace images on my Shopify store blog posts. And they also looks like a disaster in some of those pages. So all the traffic still comes to Squarespace. I can forward it all, but then if I kill Squarespace, all the images die on Shopify. So I rehost them. It's just, there was the only automated way I could find is I paid $100 some for this plugin that did it, but then it didn't rehost the images. And now I've got to go through each one
Full on. Yeah.
It's just a lot of tedious work.
What a hot mess. Yeah, you just got to do it. Either don't
For
do it or do it.
$33 a month of cost.
Yeah, exactly. There's a low incentive to make it happen, right?
Right.
So just leave it
You think it's
alone.
worth it?
No, I don't think it's worth
I
it.
can't. It's such a mess. Yeah.
Dear.
It's not really the cost. It's just that it's the experience. It's the
Yeah.
weight of it being a mess, and always trying to want to improve, customer experience and convert. Like, it also messes with, I can't really see conversions on Shopify as well as I'd like to, because I see this like referral from the Shopify or the Squarespace page in the conversion details, and it's like, that's not actually a referral. That's my website,
It's mine.
but it sees it as something else.
So shop.portlandcnc.com is the Shopify page?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which will, eventually just turn into pdxcnc.com, and that will be everything. That will be the shop. That will be a blog post.
Can you block it? I think it's unrealistic to go, oh, this is going to take me 2 days, as if you're ever going to find 2 days to do it. Like, can you time block a certain time per day or per week just to chip away at it, make progress?
I think so. I think that's a way to do it.
Fix one blog post a day. I don't know.
I've thought a lot about trying to Upwork it or something, and
Oh, yeah.
maybe I just need to try and see what somebody might quote me to do it. But yeah, anyway, just thought there might be I'm hoping for a miracle, I guess, and just trying to find some stupid solution that's not like, oh, didn't you know about this?
I will have to total off soon. I've got to find my radiator cap before the van is packed to go to Melbourne.
Do you have one of those endoscope mic cameras that you can
It's at home, but yeah, I do have one of those.
I would like to get one of those someday. I feel like there's been enough situations where I'm like, that'd be useful. Let's stick a camera in a weird little place.
Yeah. Handy things.
Home health inspections.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very sanitary.
Speaking of jamming small things into tight spaces, I've had great success this week with our Dowel coating rig. It's officially in production now. Coated, I don't know, 100 meters of Dowel probably this week. In the dipper.
Amazing.
And it's going, it's good. It's good. It's got its quirks. It's a bit hard to clean.
The Dowel dipper.
A Dowel dipper, but the results are great. Much nicer than the hot wax. And so we've yet again switched things over. More notes in Airtable about which customers have what and blah, 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 and which version changes in the product change log in Notion. But onwards, progress. Yeah, I'll make a video about it at some point. But it's working well.
Video.
Yeah, it kind of. Yeah, I mean, it's still a process, still manual labor.
Right.
But it's working well. And if I can change this second tumbler to actually work with the barrel finishing, it means that the wax dipping process will close out that chapter. So, yeah, glad we tried it.
Amazing.
Yeah, but
I would love, again, for my selfish desires, I would love to see the whole process. Follow the dowel from stick to knob.
Yeah, I need to do more of that.
No, I don't know that you need to. I imagine the process, and I think it'd actually be pretty cool. Maybe you would be that new, was he Japanese guy that made the thing that you referenced, the video that you kept watching? The pool
cue dipper
finisher.
Yeah.
Could you be the new guy? The new guy that people reference about their pool cues. Their rod dippering.
I mean, it is nicer
Could be the
than
new
that
rod
one.
dipper.
Rodney!
Jem's dipping rods again.
Yeah, I should go.
Okay.
Shanks, man.
Sounds good. Okay. Goodbye.
Trailer. Thank you. See you next time. He's got buttons.